Howdy folks, Darren Ray Fonso here talking about workers' compensation or labor and industries as we call it here in the state of Washington. Today's topic is how I've been trying to get help from the Latino Civic Alliance here in the state of Washington to help out the 400 injured farm workers who have cried out and told us they are being harmed and injured by the state L&I system, even more so once they try to report their on-the-job injuries. That's not just 400 injured farm workers. That's happening to almost every injured worker in the state of Washington at this point. And so that's why I'm upset with the fact that this Gabriel Munoz, who runs this state Latino Civic Alliance, I'm really upset with him, and also with this other lady who I can't remember her name off the top of my head, who runs One America. That's another Latino group who I have begged for help from to get this issue brought to the forefront, because I've also fully educated them how there are 400 injured farm workers in our state, many of them Latino, who are in need of their help, and they're failing to report and tell the truth about the war on us, nor the needed federal oversight that Senator Sanders has called for, and Patty Murray, and Tom Perez. So the whole liberal left has told us we need some minimum federal standards to stop this class war on injured workers, no matter what who you're from, because like I like to say, Washington State L&I is an equal opportunity oppressor. They do not care what walk of life you're from. They will harm you no matter who you are. They're an equal opportunity oppressor, as I like to say. So anyways, I'm going to call this Gabriel and find out why it is. And I also told Gabriel and the other lady from One America how in California we can track it and see that 50% of the on-the-job fatalities are Latino. So the fact that these people are covering this up and burying this issue up is kind of egregious at this point, because they're siding with biz over the lives of immigrants and injured workers. So here we go. Let's do this again.
Hello?
Yeah, is this the Latino Civic Alliance?
It is. Who's speaking?
Oh, my name is Darren Fonso. I'm an injured worker from Washington State.
Yes.
And I'm calling to find out why it is that we have 400 injured farm workers in our state that say this L&I system has failed them. Why are we not stepping up and fighting for the minimum federal oversight for those injured workers that Senator Sanders and Patty Murray has called for?
So, Darren, I was notified that you've been sending messages on our social media, and I want to really understand why your anger is towards CMAR or LCA, and why you have the impression that LCA is not helping injured workers.
Okay. One of the reasons is I'm a CMAR patient and have been for a couple of years, and they have helped me fight for my L&I and my state work comp pension. It took 7 years, and they helped me get that through a work comp judge, and they helped me get the truth told to a state federal judge. Yet when I want them to tell the truth to the state lawmakers on Legislative Latino Day, they failed to do so. Claudia Alegre failed to do so. But I'm in contact with them, and I've sent them a letter regarding this issue. As far as Latino Civic Alliance, Gabriel Munoz, I have been friends with on Facebook for over 2 years now. And I have educated him thoroughly about the harm done to 400 injured farm workers in the state, and how my father-in-law was an injured farm worker who was worked to death by the state of Washington, Walmart, and the private insurer Sedgwick. I couldn't stop him from working him to the death, but I did report, was able to get an appeal, and we won $10,000 for the amputated part they were trying to cheat him out of. He was Latino, by the way.
Right. But Darren, my question again is, why do you think we're not doing anything to help injured workers?
Because you had Latino Legislative Day, and you invited some work opportunity to come speak, but you did not come and speak and tell people about the needed minimum federal oversight. That the letter that I've shown you guys, that the letter from Senator Sanders to the United States Department of Labor And Tom Perez signed off of it, and Patty Murray signed off and said we need minimum federal oversight to stop these states from fouling injured workers. We also know there's a report from NPR that says Washington State is one of 33 states fouling injured workers. When you had that opportunity to speak up and have the lawyer speak, you had the lawyer come to tell people basically to say, gee, immigrants don't feel afraid to file a complaint here if you're injured on a job in Washington. Don't fear it. What they're correct about that. What you have to fear is not getting help like all the rest of us, whether you're an immigrant or not. And that's the side we're not telling the truth about here. You're not asking for the minimum federal oversight to stop this war on injured workers.
Right. Well, I can tell you that FCA is been doing work with the Farmworkers. Last year we had them on our agenda and they spoke. And in fairness, we always defer to what the panel discussions are. But to say that we're not doing anything and also to be sending messages as if we're not, it's not fair, Dan.
Well, it is fair, ma'am, when you had Latino legislative today and there was no mention whatsoever during that day of the minimum federal oversight that was called for by our federal lawmakers.
Well, we have, with civil alternatives, there's always going to be different perspectives, right? I mean, that's what we focus on.
Well, you're focusing on the business perspective and not the injured worker perspective or the immigrant's perspective.
You're assuming that we're not. You don't know about the news that we had in respect to injured workers that maybe people don't know about because there was so much going on there. Again, you're making assumptions that LCA isn't concerned about this issue, and you're attacking very people that are doing really good work.
Well, you see, also, ma'am, part of my problem that I have trouble with the mental health problem is because I was trying to get my voice heard by Rick Larson and all the other Democrats and people like Gabriel Munez. And then when Claudia Alger spoke that day, she spent 30 minutes on mental health, and then she spent another 30 minutes on how to speak to your lawmakers.
Right. Were you there, Darren?
No.
Well, then how do you know that you weren't in the audience?
Because some people from L&I Reform are there. Some guy named Hector that I know, he was there.
Oh, so cool. Okay, I'm just trying to understand. So you weren't in the audience. It's some friends that contacted you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And I also contacted the lawyer's office, Limbeck office, and talked to them as well.
Okay. And I guess I'm just trying to understand, who was it that you spoke to your colleagues that feel the same way you do? Would you be able to help me with that?
Some guy from L&I Reform. The guy running the L&I Reform site. He actually was there with picket signs.
I see. So are you talking about Hector Franco maybe?
Yeah, that guy. He runs L&I. I'm not with him. But I do agree with him that we need to address this issue. He wants to kind of do away with work comp, but sort of, whereas I want just a minimum federal oversight that the liberal left has told me we need because I've been a liberal for 30 years. I'm 50. I'm 50 now, but for 30 years I've been voting, 32 or whatever.
Okay. But Darren, can you understand, do you understand though that sometimes there's different perspectives and everyone has, it's not what there's different perspectives, and I'm concerned that you're not really being patient or understanding the other side of maybe what injured workers are saying, because we really care about this issue. So to say that we don't and to be attacking Claudia Alegre or Gabriel Munoz, it's not fair.
Well, I'm not only attacking Claudia Alegre, I've actually filed a complaint with that CMAR. And I filed an official complaint, and I told them I'm going to be discontinuing my mental health services because I don't like that you tell the truth to a state work comp judge about how I was harmed and my mental health was harmed to a state work comp judge. She can tell it to a federal judge, but when I want her to tell it to the lawmakers, she fails to do so. And so do you guys at this point. Where are you fighting for the minimum federal oversight? I have begged for now for like more than 3 years, over 5 years from the liberal left here in the state of Washington.
Right. Okay, so you and I have not met. I don't know you, so it's hard to really just by getting the phone call, but I have heard that you've been sending messages and you're not happy, but the kind of tone that you're doing, Darren, is not productive because we need to hear you, of course, but when you're accusing, it's not going to make things better for us.
Well, you see, doing it the nice way, what have you done for me in 3 years? Gabriel Munez has known about this for 3 years now.
Darren, there are so many complexities to either the L&I workers' comp federal oversight. I think you understand that. Why do you think things don't get improved so quickly? Because there are things that need to get improved, and I understand that. But to attack people directly, personally,
no, I'm suing. You don't get it. I'm going to be suing CMAR if they fail to step up and represent me as the person. I was a patient of theirs. They have a duty to tell the truth about a war and about a harm to patients. I was abused as a patient, and LNI knows that. They need to CMAR knows that. They need to represent and tell that to our lawmakers that we have a broken state work comp system that is harming people's mental health more than the injury it is they originally got to start with.
I understand that. I do.
But do you understand people are committing suicide over that?
Darren, I'm aware of the situation because I know that I have personally been invested to talk to, I care about the farm workers. LCA is well-connected farm workers, and we're advocating. But again, I'm saying...
That's not just farm workers, ma'am. This is all the workers across the nation.
Yes, injured workers.
Across the nation. Not just Washington, across the nation.
It is. And then you look at the different farm workers, carpenters, construction workers, any injured worker. You're right. But again, I'm saying that your process is not helping for people to hear you, is my point.
Oh, no. People are choosing to not want to help my people. I was told by the progressive left and the real progressive folks. I forget what their name is. Her name is Joy Savage. She comes out and tells me that the people aren't wanting to help us because we are only 2% of the voting or 5% of the voting bloc, and so therefore we're not worth any of the political lawmakers risking their political careers to tell the truth about a war on injured workers. I also have a video out where I catch Rosa Calderon out of California. I confront her with the question about workers' comp. She tells us the exact truth. She tells us about we need the minimum federal oversight. And so when the candidates are asked and pressed with the right questions, they tell us the right answers. Just our progressives and the liberal left doesn't want this issue on the table with any of our other issues or Medicare for all, which the injured workers will be cost shifted off to, losing 2/3 of our grand bargain, vote services and time loss.
And so I hear you, but I guess you're not still answering my question why you think it's okay to be blaming people when you haven't really had a conversation.
I'm not blaming. Right here, I am blaming because I've asked Gabriel Munoz for 2 years. I've also asked the lady that runs One America. I begged for her help. I've also begged for a lot of people's help now. And as you say, you've heard about me. Then, therefore, people should be stepping up and trying to represent us. And what's happening here is nobody's representing labor. Well, you all have claimed to represent labor, but nobody's putting the minimum federal standards on the table for injured workers.
Sarah, but hear me out. When I say I've heard of you, I've noticed, I was informed about your messaging on LCA. Your messaging on LCA, what did you say, Darren, on LCA? Tell me what you wrote.
I can't remember exactly, ma'am, what I wrote, but I will tell you right now, you are live on the internet, and I am letting everybody know how you people treat us injured workers. This is how it goes every time. You are blocks to the minimum federal oversight.
Darren, I don't believe we're treating you wrong because we want to help.
Well, CMAR, let's go to CMAR. You tell me I'm blaming CMAR. I'm not blaming CMAR. I'm suing CMAR for failing to represent me as a patient. That's not blaming.
I think when you're ready to have a conversation and you want to have a meaningful conversation first, I would love to have that with you. But to call me and I don't know you. I've never met you. And so to say that LCA or anyone is not interested in this issue, we are. We do care deeply about injured workers, Darren. I wish you would hear me when I say that.
Well, I would believe that if the last 2 or 3 years, as I shared information about a war on injured workers, some of you have, like Gabriel Munoz, may have reshared that information so as the truth would be told and people would be educated. Instead, what it seems like is you guys are blocking it and don't want the truth to be heard or told. Okay.
Well, I think I'm going to go ahead. I've heard you, and I think I'm going to end the conversation because I want to be respectful of your time. And then I think, if you want to send me a message, a private message of a phone number to reach you, because I don't see your phone number I'd be willing to have.
No, you got to Google me. You can catch me online. I'm not giving my phone number out over the net right now. But what I will say is that Gabriel Nunez needs to step up here. And I'm not the only one saying that. This guy, whatever his name, Hector something from Labor and LNI, whatever he calls his group, I'm not even involved with him. I'm a totally different entity. So we have two different entities stepping up here and telling you that, like with my father-in-law, was an immigrant that was worked to death. And nobody, nobody wants to help. And then he's talking about 400 injured farm workers that I have nothing to do with. But I can understand their plight because I, too, went through 7 years of work comp hell. I proved my case. I proved it to 2 work comp judges and federal judges. And now I'm put on a pension. And part of that reason is because I was intentionally harmed. I shared the pension rationale with you folks that shows that I have like a 10-pound limit on my back, and they were trying to put me into a 50-pound job.
Darren, but I'm telling you, I've never received anything personally LCA from you. So I think that I just need to think we need to.
Well, who's in charge of your outfit here? Is it you or is it Gabriel Nunez?
Latino Civic Alliance is we have an executive team, and it's Nina Martinez that is the board chair. You can go to our website. You know who the officers are.
Who's Gabriel Nunez then? What title does he have in the thing?
Okay, Darren, I think you know the information. I'm not have a debate with you on the phone when I've never really sat with you in person. I'm sorry, not going to happen. So I've heard you. When you're ready, you can send me a private message with your phone number.
Okay, ma'am. Well, I will tell you, I'm telling the Injured Workers of America, and I'm sharing this conversation online, so you might want to Google me, because you can see I'm being heard where you guys are not. Have a great day. So there you have it. This lady has no intent to get honest about a war on injured workers, nor the minimum federal oversight. Gee, Darren, it's this complex. This is complexity. We have this, we have that. No, they have no intent to fight for the injured workers of America or the 400 injured farm workers they cry and claim to care for. These are the progressive, liberal, fake fronts that are nothing but businessmen in suits, all robbing the grand bargain away from labor while they smile at us. I'm tired of it. It needs to end. Nunez and the fucking fake fucking state Latino Civic Alliance needs to get honest about a war on injured workers and the needed minimum federal oversight. Stop shucking and jiving us and yanking us, liberal Democrats. You're the problems. You're the one standing in my way of getting the federal oversight for the injured workers of all of America. I don't care what else you got on the plate, Medicare for all, who you're selling me one way or the other. You get that goddamn grand bargain back on the table and you fight for it. Otherwise, you are selling us out and our grand bargain out. And 2/3 of that grand bargain of time loss and vote service, you are in on the cost shifting and the eroding away of that grand bargain. Good day.